Okay.
Right, the next stage is to put the pan rail gaskets on and the rear cork gasket. Now, so you've got 3 gaskets left. On the engine, the pan rail gasket sits along the pan rail and the cork gasket sits in this groove here. Now obviously you're going to have a crank in and the flywheel on the back, so it is quite tricky and you're doing it upside down. What you need to do first of all is get some gasket jointing compound, Hylamar. Try not to use silicone because it's not particularly good with oil, but if that's all you've got then you'll have to use it. So you need to put some Hylamar along the gasket face that's going to sit on the engine side. So what you do, check the gasket fits on there and it's the right gasket, which is right. So put Hylamar on all along the gasket. So you run it all along the sides, everywhere where it meets the engine. Make sure you put a good dollop on this end that sits in this groove. So sealing compound on there, turn it back, stick it, lining all the holes up correctly, and you've got to make sure that this little tab here sits inside the groove there. And again, once it's stuck down, you then, that groove. Once it's stuck down, you then put another dollop of Hylamar right in that corner. Also, it's advisable to put a good dollop on this tail face here, where it meets the upper rope seal, and a dollop here, where it's going to meet the lower rope seal. So you do that on both sides. Again, on the face that meets the engine, good dollop on that end, top and bottom, and a good dollop where it sits in the groove round the back of the oil pump. Right in there. So again, dollop of sealing compound on the bottom and on the top of the gasket. Once they're stuck in and seated, it's a cork seal. Now what you can do is put a slight smear of sealing compound along that face, a good dollop on that end and a good dollop on that end. Once you've done that, you roughly get the centre of the cork and you press it hard into the groove, and you've got to make sure that each end is pressed in nice and tight, and you follow it all the way around, press in again in the bottom so it's nice and tight. And what you'll find is you will probably get a squirt of sealing compound coming out of the end, that end and that end. Now once that's on properly and it's all on nice and tight, you're ready to put the sump on. Now before you put the sump on, what you want to again make sure, put another dollop of Hylamar sealing compound in that corner there, just a blob there, and in that there, again another good blob, and you can put a slight smear along just round the back of the oil pump. That's where they generally leak, at the back or at the front. Once you've done that, you can get your sump, which has got the rope seal in the front of it, as we showed earlier on. Now before you put the sump on, again a little dab of Hylamar on the end of the rope seal, just going over onto the pan face, and again another little dab there, just smearing across to there. And you can also put, just to be on the safe side, a tiny little dollop on that corner and on that corner. Once you've done that, get the pan rail upside down, get the hose through the hole in the side like you did earlier on, and you rest it down into place. And then you've got to make sure that the gasket and the holes are all lined up, that you haven't got one of these gaskets pushed in or pushed out. So they've got to sit nice and tight in the correct location. And then you slowly put your bolts in one at a time. Don't do them up fully, just do them up loosely all the way around, and then go around them and tighten them all up. And that's your sump fitted.